Hello and welcome to Get Better, a show about two longtime friends trying their best, growing up, and hopefully getting better. I'm Zach Johnson.
And I'm Sam Cherry.
What up, what up?
Well, I'm glad that I have gathered you here today. I would like to talk about an epidemic that is sweeping our youth. I mean, of course, jokes that aren't jokes. Many people don't even know that they've been affected, and that's why I brought you here. Here, in front of this committee, I would like to give a short, unordered list of jokes that aren't jokes. Number one.
This is very serious.
Puns. Puns are not jokes. I know you think they're jokes. They're not jokes. They aren't. They aren't. They aren't. Number two, staring into the camera because wouldn't that be weird? Or anything that ends with wouldn't that be weird? You're not Tyler the Creator. You can't do it. It's not a joke. You're just staring at the camera. It isn't a joke. Being bad at jokes, also not a joke. Telling a joke and then the joke is that's not a very good joke isn't a joke. You aren't telling a joke. Those aren't jokes. And related, saying something that isn't a joke and then being like, get it? Not a joke. You're just saying words that aren't funny. It isn't a joke. Anything where you have to point out that it is in fact a joke means it isn't, in fact, a joke. You might be wondering, what are jokes? I mean, it's 2019 and everything is awful, so are there any jokes left? So I have prepared for you a short, unordered list of things that are still jokes. Physical humor. For example, saying Boris Johnson looks like a Cabbage Patch Kid and a raccoon had a baby in an empty car wash. That is a joke. Farts. Unfortunately, those are the only jokes that are left because everything else is very, very problematic. But
Okay.
I don't know. Do that. Make fun of Boris Johnson and farts. Thank you.
Okay. Can I push back on that a bit?
If it's puns, I won't hear it, but sure.
I will say this.
They aren't
not
jokes.
to say that I have any defense of puns, but I think that there are people that do have defensive puns, and so you're gonna be gaining a lot of enemies with this list, I think, and a lot of negative comments.
Yes, and of course we know if people have a defense of things, it must be okay. There's nothing in this world that is indefensibly bad that people still defend. And you might be thinking, Sam, you're not saying that puns are just as bad as war crimes. I am. Puns are war crimes. Everyone stop making them. They aren't jokes. They're just words that sound like other words. That's not a joke. Those are just words that sound similar. I'm very passionate about this.
I think so. Then now I think that you're opening up kind of a bit of a problem. Like the other ones I agreed with. I think just to run down that list, there was puns, there was wouldn't that be weird was one of them.
Correct.
Jokes that aren't jokes. And I don't remember the fourth one was. At one point they were staring into the camera. I don't know.
Here's my thing.
I don't know if that one happens in your day-to-day, but
in my exodus from content about content, I've recently just been around a lot of videos of people trying to be funny. Turns out, here's what I think I'm gathering. The internet has a lot of stuff on it, and most of it's not very good. And there's a lot of people who sort of their whole bit is like, I'm going to talk into a camera and then be like, peanut butter. And that's like the whole thing. And it's like, well, what did you... But then I got out of the car. And it's like, that's not a joke. You're not saying anything. And it's like, that's barktastic. And it's not you're not telling jokes. Those aren't jokes. You're just saying words and then looking at the camera or like the joke is I'm not funny. And I agree, you're not funny, but you not being funny isn't funny. Why are you doing? Those aren't jokes. They aren't jokes. That's my whole thing.
Okay.
And puns are kind of getting swept in there. I know that like by the definition of how a joke works, they are, but puns aren't funny. And I think if it's not funny, at some point it stops being a joke and it starts being a war crime. So puns are out.
Okay.
How you been, Zach?
I've been doing great, but I really feel like we can't just sweep this under the rug. Like, you came at this with so much energy. You had a whole list. It's something that you clearly care about.
I do actually very much. I care about jokes where they go, "Do you get it?" It's like if I didn't get it, it wasn't funny. But here's the thing: the joke is not even the joke. The joke is going, "Do you get it?" Isn't it? Wouldn't it, like walk me through? I know people love when you explain jokes to them, but walk me through the punchline. Like, what is the subversion, the reversal, the surprise? What is it? Is the joke? Wouldn't it be funny if I was bad at jokes? But you are bad at jokes, so it's not a reversal. You were saying a bunch of unfunny stuff because you were just talking, and that's fine. I'm saying a bunch of unfunny stuff now. And then you made a joke that wasn't funny, and then the joke was, that wasn't very funny, was it? And it's like, no, it wasn't very funny. What's the but like, you're using the patterns of humor, so like, I know this is a punchline, but it isn't a joke. And people, that's their whole career, is they just like make videos of that. It's not funny.
No, I have. So as you were saying that, I've kind of like noticed that what you said there was almost like the baseline for what is like kind of built upon that. So I have not seen all that much of the get it or that's a bad joke sort of thing. I haven't seen that done very outright since like, middle school or whatever. But I've seen people build upon that narrative. Like, say, so for example, you tell an intentionally bad joke and then you put like a canned studio audience laughter underneath it.
Not a joke.
And then kind of playing into the ridiculousness of it as like, I edited in this, like the audience knows that you edited in a laughter that wasn't there, and then kind of like looks at the camera like, right? Like kind of one of those things.
Yes, but Zach, there's the motorcycles.
There is this motorcycle gang. They're coming to get me. They are like, puns are the cornerstone for what makes humor. Don't you ever say that again.
Did I ever tell you about the time I went to a concert and I went with, and he goes, "Hey, I need to warn you." I said, "Okay, we're going to a concert. It's very cool." He goes, "I got a buddy, and he exclusively talks in puns." And I said, "That's not going to be good for me, because I don't like puns, and I'm not great at
faking that you like something.
I'm not good at pretending that I'm enjoying something that I'm not. I'm just not. It's not one of my soft skills." And I remember we were standing in the front row and there was a drummer in front of us and he looks at me and goes, "He really hit it." It's like, yep, this is how I get convicted for murder. This is it. I killed this guy in the middle of this concert. And it went on like that for the entire show. The entire show was just puns about, which again, like, walk me through. Very nice guy. I actually like him a lot. It's super cool. Walk me through what the joke was. What's the joke, though? That the word hit, like hit it, could mean hitting a drum, but it also means getting started. Is that the joke?
Yeah.
Is the joke that is what's the taboo that you're breaking? What's the like? What's the joke?
No, that's interesting.
Jokes have to be about something. What's the joke?
Yes. Okay, so so based on this conversation, what I'm trying to do is, because you and I, as the audience has clearly found out at this point, you and I are joke scientists. Sam and Zach, joke scientists.
Joke scientist. It's on my business card.
Joke scientist. So thinking through that, like, this is like one of those things where I imagine there are college classes where, and these have got to exist because it was one of those things that my dad used to make fun of me for, where people would just like watch a TV show or like, say, for example, watch The Simpsons, and then they would pause when the class laughs and then goes like, "Why is this funny?" And then like you have to break down the science of the joke. So that's what you and I are doing now.
I mean, there are theories of humor.
There are theories of humor, but let's try to make some pillars of humor, as it were.
Got it.
So pillars of humor, it has to be about something.
It has to be about something. There
has to be
a joke.
Okay. Now, and I think that is interesting because you had said, what taboo are you breaking? And sure. I don't think it has to be a taboo that's breaking, but I'm the reason I thought that was interesting because now I'm trying to follow through this one of my favorite comedians of all time, if not my favorite comedian of all time, is Mike Birbiglia. Yes. If you have heard me talk about this person, you buckle up because I'm going to talk about him some more.
It's where I got the line, jokes need to be about something.
Yeah. And I think that's it's interesting because now I'm kind of thinking through, when I first heard, so he has several specials, and most of them they kind of follow a narrative where there's a 1 and a 2 and a 3. So the first one is Sleepwalk with Me, and the sequel to that one is called My Girlfriend's Boyfriend. It follows a very similar path, but goes into the next stage of his life. And I would say that the third one of these is called The New One, which is one that I saw at a theater, but it kind of continues the narrative loop. But there is one in between those called Thank God for Jokes. And in Thank God for Jokes, it doesn't really follow the narrative, but it almost operates as a love letter to jokes, where the main character of that is it's him talking about what he thinks is funny and what is a joke. And it kind of dips into this jokes have to be about something, or jokes have to everyone's going to think something's offensive. And that makes me think of another comedian that kind of follows this very similar path, albeit very differently, which is Dave Chappelle. In his
today's the Dave Chappelle episode. Didn't know we were going.
My love of Dave Chappelle is unending.
I agree. He's had a tough couple years, but I do.
Have you seen The Wire? No.
Yeah, exactly.
So we are really breaking through to some cultural bounds here. Dave Chappelle, in his final of his 4 stand-up specials, The Bird Revelation, it starts with him saying, "I'm going to say a lot of mean things, but I'm not saying them to be mean. I'm saying them to be funny, and everything's funny until it happens to you." And that is it's almost this is going to sound so pretentious. It's almost like an overture to the entire special.
Yeah. Check that. Pretentious.
Yeah. He says I'm going to say a lot of mean things, and everything's funny until it happens to you. Which is a thing that I piece together all the time. If I ever hear someone making fun of something and I get really agitated, it is it's oh, because that happened to me. I now have a stake in it, but that doesn't matter because everything's funny until it happens to you. And then you can't have, I guess if you really goofed up by bringing this up, Sam. This goes to my third and hopefully final point. There is a really famous episode of South Park, a show that I don't watch all too often, but every once in a while it does such a great job with cultural commentary and kind of getting into the human condition that you just have to pay respect to it. There's this episode where they're going to show the Prophet Muhammad on TV, and everyone freaks out because it's something that is too sacred to make fun of. And then Kyle, one of the main characters, there's this whole point, that episode is a love letter to jokes. It is what can and can't be said. And if you start saying you can't say something, then it sets this really weird precedent of there are some things that are funny and there are some things that aren't allowed. And then he has that penultimate famous line from that episode, which is everything's funny or nothing. Everything is, everything can be made fun of or nothing can. Everything is funny or nothing is. And it's that. So basically that is all my bullet points for why I think that the first pillar, jokes have to be about something, is that is my foundational belief in that. And not necessarily it has to test the social structure. It has to offend someone, but it has to be about something.
Right, but there is when I say breaking a taboo, I don't think that's what every joke is about.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what every joke is about is building tension and breaking tension, right? You do this thing with the Patton Oswalt thing, right? Like, it's going to right up to this point, and that's when and then it was going to break, and the heckler messed up the joke, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's all about that. And one of the ways is to break a taboo. I was just watching this Aziz Ansari bit before his new...
Wait, did you watch his new special?
I got halfway through it, yeah.
Okay,
and now I'm here. And I was telling Sophie about it before I started the show. I was going to do this bit about jokes aren't jokes before, but then I was watching this and I just was thinking more about it. And like, there's this whole joke he does about new, recently woke white people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very funny. And I was telling her it's very, and just like how obnoxious and unbearable they are because they always have some think piece and they just want to explain racism to everybody. And I told her it was really funny because I'm absolutely that guy, right? Like I'm I read this on, Medium. Or
which
whatever.
Actually I made an allusion to, and I said the "Have you seen The Wire" joke earlier.
Oh, me being a recently woke white guy?
No, like that is like you and I, whenever we said like, oh, this is the Dave Chappelle episode, it was just like us being like, oh man, we are at the forefront of this.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he's just, yeah. I love Dave Chappelle a lot, but he's said a bunch of not great stuff recently. That's tough. But anyway, whatever. But I guess kind of your point of, I don't know, whatever. Anyway. He makes this joke about like recently woke white people and how obnoxious they are. And I was telling Sophie, I was like, it's great. I loved that joke because it broke the tension for me of like, I know I do this of like really, really, really actively trying to not be a bad white guy. But I know it's obnoxious. I just don't know how to navigate it. Like, I don't know how to not be shitty. And obviously the answer is just to like talk like 60% less. Like honestly, most of the situations would be solved if I just didn't say it. Like gender relations, just pretty much stop talking. Racial relations, just stop talking. Gay, straight stuff, just stop talking. If you just stop talking and let other people talk, that'll probably solve it. And I think that's the answer. But still, I'm trying. And I worry. I worry, like I hope I'm not being like reverse a bad white person. You know what I mean? Where I'm like, I'm trying so hard to be a good person. I'm like really obnoxious, which I know that I am. So when he makes this joke, it's like, great, good. Because now we're all laughing about this. I don't worry that everybody's like behind a closed door, like, oh my God, this is so frustrating. You know what I mean? Like it breaks that tension of like, oh yes, we can all acknowledge this annoying thing about recently woke white people. I don't have to worry so much, like, because we've all just got it out in the open. We're making fun of this thing. I don't have, you know what I mean? And like, it's a relief. Like I was literally walking into my building and I just had a like knot in my brain because I saw this girl and she was doing something on the back of her car and it was on my way to the door anyway. And I kind of looked over and as I was getting the words out, do you need any help? I realized that she was changing her license plate, which just, you need a Phillips head screwdriver. So I was like, do you need any help? And she's like, no, I think I got it. And then I'm walking into my building and I was like, was I being a dick? Like, because she doesn't just like, and I wasn't saying it because she was a woman. I was saying it because like, I know a little bit about cars and could maybe help. But like, I knew she didn't need help. As I'm watching her, it's like, you don't need help. You have a screwdriver in your hand. That's the whole process. Was that?
Yeah.
But like, I want to be polite and nice and ask, but I don't want to be patronizing by asking if she needs help with this like trivially easy thing. So the joke was funny to me because it broke that tension, right? It broke the tension of like, oh God, am I one of the bad white people? And it's no, you're just annoying. And it's like, tight. That's great with me because I already knew that. That's a funny joke.
Mm-hmm.
Jokes are about something. They break attention. It's like Chuck Jones. Yes, Chuck Jones. He's like the guy who directed all the Looney Tunes. He would always like have set up an expectation and reverse the expectation. That's his whole bit, right? Wile E. Coyote paints a tunnel on the wall, and you expect Roadrunner's going to run into it. Actually, he runs through it. Oh, cool. Then Wile E. Coyote wants to run through it. You're expecting that he's going to run through it, but actually he runs into the wall. It's just expectation, reversal. It's every Looney Tunes joke. Set up an expectation, reverse that expectation. You're breaking the tension between what you think is going to happen and what actually happens.
Yeah.
That's what I think about jokes.
Well, I think that's just like, that could be, that is like one way of doing jokes. So I'm kind of thinking like, and dipping back into the pretentious sphere, like if you think that, oh my gosh, here we go. So if you think of jokes like music,
this sucks. You know, we're on the hook. We're on the hook forever to be funny now. You get that? We're like breaking down like what are funny jokes, and now we have to be funny. I had one Boris Johnson joke, which is totally gonna slay. But like, now I'm the funny guy. Now I know what's funny because I think that Boris Johnson looks like a raccoon. Cool.
Yeah. Well, and
this is the end of the show.
Oh my
gosh, over.
Yeah. No, this is like I saw this, and like it's.
Tell me your music thing, whatever.
Well, I mean, like, you know, you kind of have like music either follows a trend, like you kind of can feel where it's going to go next, and then there's other music like buckle up, Beethoven's Fifth, which starts with that really like very poignant like dun 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 thing, and then it goes right into the same thing but slowed down and becomes more melodic, and then just when you think it's going to go into that, then it goes right back into the loud, and then it goes into the soft. Basically, it's like a Pixie song. So you have that as an idea of doing jokes, like the setup reversal, which is, I think, just kind of how you would do anything. Like that's a really big principle in like how to do good action set pieces as well. Like a lot of changing hands, a lot of like the heroes are on top, the heroes are behind, the heroes are on top sort of like mentality. And I think that's just something that humans respond to, is, you know, the setup reversal setup thing. But there is also like, oh my gosh, I don't know where I'm going with this. I just wanted to do my Beethoven example because for the people that don't know, I went to high school. Yeah. So I am smart.
I've heard any music, so now I'm gonna tell you about it. This is just the show where I get out all my white guilt and I just say like, I'm sorry for all of the things probably, and now I'm just going to be sad on a show about it. That's what I do here. That's what I show up and pontificate about how woke I am, and then feel bad about how motorcycle.
Here we go. It's the end. They heard you say pontificate, and they were like, if you're going to say puns are bad and pontificate in the same 20 minutes, you're out.
Here's the other thing. Some words are only good written. Here's my thing. There are words that you're like, I know that word, but if you don't write them down, this sucks. I'm cutting that whole thing out. Some words are only good written. What are you doing, Sam? What are you doing? Hey, bud, do you have 20 minutes to say about what words are good written? This is a good show you make. Super good. Some words are only good written. I only listen to the music from before vinyl. That's all I do. Yeah. I'm Mr.
That is like...
Harumph.
That is literally the exact same thing as that one time that that guy was like asking you about 9/11 when you had just seen one of those documentaries or whatever it was.
He was asking me about 9/11?
No, it was. Oh my
I'm
gosh!
constantly thinking about 9/11, but that didn't,
Oh no!
I don't think
The
that's what it was.
Iraqi war, and you were like,
Oh,
you
yeah.
said like, oh, I love talking about that.
I could read
That
all
is-
day about the war in Iraq. I don't know shit about the war in Iraq. I don't know.
That is the exact same thing as like you just like talking. You're just talking to somebody, and then you say like, some words are better written.
Some
and,
words
like
are
when you
only
say
good
them out loud. Some words are only good written, and then the next person must go, oh yeah, name 10 words. Like what are some words that are only good written?
Pontificate. You just sound like an
You'd be like-
idiot. You just sound like a dumb
And then
jerk.
and then it's pontificate, and it's like the only way that'd be impressive is if like it was a group of people that had just learned how to read or something.
Yeah,
like
no,
there
there's
is
no world where that's the only
Yeah.
place that pontificate is a good, because either you're gonna get with people who don't know what that word means and don't care, do know what that word means and aren't impressed that you know a word, or
Mhm.
are just as unbearable as you are, and then they're just gonna,
I was going to say, and
outmatch
that
you with their
and
cool
that
words.
is a worst case scenario because there is no winning, because it's like you say that, and then someone who is like, they understand conversations as a way to get on top of this weird social ladder.
Right.
They would be like, well, I would argue that pontificate has a way of spilling out of the mouth. That is, and then you're into that conversation.
Yeah, they read
And you
Thoreau
guys puff your pipes and then talk about what is to be done about this little Nas X.
Yeah. God, it sucks.
But that's the reason why we have this. So we have a platform with which we can say it to each other, and we don't say it in front of actual people.
It's fun. Yes, despite the fact that this is the broadcast
Exactly.
program, it is funny how much like, hey, audience, I really don't think you get it. This show is not for you. I know that you think that we make it for you. Zach might make it for you. I do spend time every week thinking about what I'm going to talk about. Like I put effort into the show. It's not for you. It's for me. The show is for me. It's just for me to sit and say all my bad ideas and then be like, was that a good idea? And then I have to think all week about my ideas so that maybe I stop being bad and maybe get better a little bit. But mostly it's just that. It's just talking to my friend who I trust, and maybe we can talk about our dumb ideas together and say stupid words like pontificate. It's almost 2020 election season, so don't know that the show is going to get more.
Are we
positive.
talking about this?
No, we're not. No, I'm just giving you some context because the pile was mostly right after 2016, and so I'm just giving you some context of like, boy, things are going super great.
Things are, it is getting pretty bearable up in here.
Here's the thing. What I'm trying to say is that like I watch a lot of YouTube that isn't just about Game of Thrones, and it's like, boy, you just don't have a lot going on here. And I feel like it's like with preachers where hey guys, a lot of sermons are boring. They just are. They're just boring. They are. And like some of them are very good, and some of them in fact are life-changing. Many of them are boring, and you might criticize the preacher, but also could you give like an hour-long talk on the same book for your whole life? Like, could you do that? Could you just like take a 1,000-page book and read it and then talk about it for an hour every like in a new way, like a new aspect of this book for an hour every week for like 30 years? That's super hard. And so most of it is just boring. And like, I feel similarly.
And also there
ahead.
is I was thinking like there is also the challenge of like, because it's been around, like it has been this book has been around for longer than you, like exponentially longer than you will be alive. Then it's like chances are you're gonna be like saying the same thing as someone else.
Yeah, I pretty much
like you're
don't
not like it's not like I'm breaking new ground on this on Daniel 2:11.
Right. I don't need another hot take about the woman at the well. I pretty much got it. Like I really don't need another take on the woman at the well. I understand the story. It's not that long of a story. You know what I mean? But that's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is much like a sermon, that you have to give every single week, an hour long, basically book report every single week. A lot of content on the internet seems like people who got roped into like, oh, I just make videos now. And then they're like, you know what? Actually, I don't have that many interesting things to say about things. Like, I don't have anything, and I just got nothing on this. And so it's like, or like, oh, we're funny because I made that wacky video where I fell down, and now you're like an internet comedian. And it's like, nah, dude, you just don't have any jokes. And so you stare at the camera and you're like, wouldn't it be funny if I wasn't funny? And it's like, no, it wouldn't be funny if you weren't funny. I think the internet was a mistake.
Wow.
Except Venmo. Venmo pretty much gets it for me.
Venmo is the saving grace.
I'm so serious. I think Venmo made like the smartphone worth it, because everything else is just like micro purchases and like stealing your data. So like everything else is hot garbage, and then there's Venmo, which is like, hey, we solved a problem. Like there was this thing in your life and it was hard to do, and now we made it easier. It's like if phones just came with Venmo, Maps, and like email, I guess, but even then you shouldn't have email on your phone. That's not good for you. So like basically if it just had like Maps and you could call and text in Venmo, I think I would take that phone. That's good for me.
That sounds like there is going to be like in a few years, like just a lot of like just, it is going to happen. I can feel it but there is going to be a wicked burnout from having all of the information all at the same time, always.
But also none of the information at all.
And none of the information all the time, always. And I feel like there's going to be like just enough smooth talking Amish people are going to be like, hey, do you want to not do this ever again? And like enough people are going to be like, yeah, 100%. That sounds great. I would love to live off the land forever.
What if your biggest concern was how this plant does over 3 months? Like, oh my gosh, so I just but like, do I have to like track it every day and like put it into a spreadsheet or like get little pings? Nope. You just walk out, kind of look at it and feel it. Oh, and then you just do that for 3 months and, water it and stuff, but mostly the earth will take care of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. But we still have modern medicine. Oh yeah. We go to the doctor and shit. Great. Yeah. I would love that. Yeah. I'd love to go live in a cabin in the woods. That would be great for me. Of course, that's my dream. Is eventually, I just
I honestly think like now that I'm saying this out loud, I'm believing it even more. Like I kind of started that as like a little joke for team building, but I think that there will come a time whenever people because like we have lived 1,000 lifetimes. We have.
I mean, keep talking, but what did you just say?
I said we have lived 1,000 lifetimes.
Do I need to listen to Beethoven to get that? Is that a reference?
No. No.
Is that a Descartes thing?
Have you heard of Aldous Huxley? No. We have like been like we're getting all the information all the time, always. Yeah. And there is like we, as you said, like there was a point when you're getting just enough information to where things were fine. Like we could get like. It went from being like solving problems like email. It's just like, you solved a problem with like taking a long time to get packaging or whatever. And then like, periodically like that got faster and faster and faster. And then now we have so much information that we don't know what to do with it.
We're in this kind of technocratic hellscape.
Yeah. Where we have... It's like we are assaulted with content all the time with this like kind of expectation to have all the content all the time. And because, everyone by default has to be a kind of a nerd because everyone like if information is getting thrown at you all of the time, like eventually there's going to be some information you're like, well, I might as well learn everything about this. We talked about this with our sports stats. I think that, there's only so much of that a group of people can take before it's like, okay, this is way too much and it's only getting faster. It's only getting more information. It's only getting like X, Y, and Z. So I would say that, in a few years' time, when we were all like, all the millennials have reached their like mid 30s, I think there's going to be a choice. There's like, do we keep going on in this like technology sphere and we keep like pushing into it, or do we like retreat away from it and just go back to being Amish?
It's just
not Amish. I think
get
it's
what
going to
you're
be
saying,
like, like our version of Amish, which would be living off the land and only being able to like, our version of Amish being like what it was like to live in the 90s or something.
Sure.
And to have like everything very packaged in a way where it wasn't like overwhelming to the senses. And just do that. I would say it is only going to take a few, smooth talking people to be like, hey, let's go live off the land. And then enough people are going to be like, yeah, I am so tired of this.
Well, it's funny because on one hand, we've put ourselves in a situation where you are so plugged in all the time, so like getting so much information thrown at you, getting so much information like taken about you, and like this sort of overwhelming strobe light of content and ads and oversharing and like blah 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 and jokes that aren't jokes.
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny is it seems like all of the garbage of the world has all like focused there. Like there's a limited amount of garbage, right? There's a limited amount of trash, and the people who make trash, because they are masochists, only have so much time. So it's like, oh, well, we'll just make everybody miserable on our like social media platform. That's what we'll do instead of making them miserable in some other horrible way. But the flip side of it is that it's really easy to get away from, because it's like, oh, literally, if I threw my phone into the river, all of these problems would go away. Like literally all of it. Like I would just not know about any of this stuff that's like I'm stressed out about Boris Johnson. Like who cares? Like not like who cares, because like, yeah, like he's a monster and I hope he isn't prime minister and he's like a terrible guy. But I can't vote in that election, and I don't even know the equivalent of call your representative. I mean, I guess they have representatives, but like call your member of parliament and yell at them if you're English. But I'm not, you know what I mean? It's like there's nothing I can even do about Boris Johnson. There's nothing I can like. I can't vote in that election. I can't stop it. Probably because of the privilege of my life, I'm not even going to be affected by the terrible things he does, which is not a good reason to not. You should definitely like do stuff that isn't going to affect you, you monster. What is wrong with you? But still, like, if I just like threw my phone in the river, I would have never heard of Boris Johnson, and I wouldn't know who he was, and I wouldn't know that he's like running for prime minister, and it wouldn't be a problem. So it's like, on one hand, a lot of it is like algorithmically programmed to be toxic and hypnotizing, but all of that effort has been focused in really, really like the internet used to be really big, and now it's like 3 websites. Like there's like 3 websites that make up the internet. And if you just don't go to those 3 websites, like you're good. Like you just don't have to deal with any of it. So like it's better in one, like it's wet. Like you don't even need to really go live in the woods. It's like just like delete a couple apps off your phone and get rid of your cable. And like honestly, you'll probably be fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not all bad, except for all the bad parts.
Well, here's the thing. I still want to be Amish, so
you can be. I think that's a great way to live. I honestly think, seriously, like it is good. You're doing probably the least harm in society. Like they are probably doing it right. I mean, I don't know the whole like Amish thing. I don't know how like it all works, but like living off the land is probably the least destructive thing you could do nowadays. And maybe the happy. Oh my God, should we be Amish?
I know. See, now I'm thinking about it.
And like, really, what would I lose?
So like, here's what we do. Like, we get some land, right? Like a big plot of land, and we just make like a tiny city. Of just like, it's like basically what I'm pitching is a hippie commune.
Okay, now you're talking. What if we got all the listeners of the show?
Yeah.
Me and my wife, you, all of our listeners, and we move out to Colorado.
Oh my gosh.
And we get a plot of land, right? We'll get some cool robes, maybe like a big pole everybody can like sing and dance around.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a good idea. I think we should start a cult.
Don't belittle my plan.
I love your plan, and I think we should do it up to 11. Let's start a cult.
No, let's go one before that. Like, and it's gonna be fun because it's like you would think, because here's like I don't want to start a cult, nor do I want to be like we're starting this community because like everything is the devil and like we're here to get closer to Jesus. All things that are like good that we can do. However, it wouldn't be for that. It'd be like you can do whatever you want, but just like this is just like Unplugged Valley, man. Like you can just
Unplugged
like
Valley.
it is for all the people that are just totally burnt out and want to go to a different way, like go to a more simplistic way. Like people that are burnt out with the way things are going, and also like so content with their legacy or so content with their like position in the universe, they don't have to prove it by like becoming like famous or becoming like larger than life.
Sure.
Can just go and like, really find solace and inner peace and just like, I guess, purpose in just the like, hey, you live in this village or you live in this like small city and whatever. And like the things that you do actually impact everyone in here. So like you find your purpose there.
Yeah. And while you're here, if you want to worship me as a god king, that's cool too. Like I'm just
that's cool
open
too.
to
No
it.
pressure.
No pressure. But if I'm, sort of the earth come to life as man and I'm going to bring forth the apocalyptic paradise, fine. Whatever you're feeling.
No.
That's totally cool.
This is like also a great way that we're like, I'm saying this out loud and I'm putting in the atmosphere. This feels like an SNL skit, or this just feels like you would do it as a way to make fun of millennials that are just like, oh man, I got this radical new idea. And the radical new idea is just going and living off the land like people did for thousands and thousands of years.
Yeah, but that is totally a thing that people
we have
do.
We have absolutely no skills. We have no way of knowing what we're doing, where we're just like fumbling ass backwards trying to like function in a society with like buildings we have to build that we don't know how to do. And I just like buy a bunch of pigs. And I'm just like, what are we supposed to do with these pigs?
And that's when the god king, Zeus, made of fish and ether and the sky and moon, comes in and is like, this is how you start a fire.
comes in, who comes in a form that we can understand.
Yes.
Sam Cherry.
Yes, I know that I look like I am just a mortal man, but actually I am made of the waves and sun. And I will teach you how to make a fire.
Yeah, don't get too close because I'm actually your eyes cannot understand what you are seeing. So you are seeing this mortal, but don't get too close because you will run into the waves and you'll run into the earth because I am but a mirage.
And then at that point, like they don't need all of their money and their mortal possessions.
Yeah, right?
And in the night I sneak off with that cash.
Lock it in.
Done.
Put your phones in a box and then you have all their cash and like that is the real way to do it here. See,
yeah, who cares? They don't even have phones. They're not even really people.
Yeah. And yeah, they don't have phones. They're not really people. And also, furthermore, like getting off of that, the trick is not to steal the money and not even to like make away with it. It is to like have them believe or have them, oh, here we go. Because we got to get in with the we got to get into the rhetoric of it. Have them know that money is a man-made object and has no value once you give no value to it.
Then only their chief high priest can free them from that money.
Yes. And then you take all that money and then say, to not even tempt you with this mortal possession, I am going to take it away, and I'm going to take it far away where none of you know where it is, to the top of a mountain that only I know about.
Yes. It is made of darkness and cloud, and what and then they're all in the woods. They don't know shit about shit. They don't know how to get back. They don't have cars or phones. Just fucking go. Just leave. Just get in the car and leave. Be like, yo, we're gonna go. Yeah, don't worry. We're gonna expel the evil from your lives.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. It is not enough to destroy it. It is we have to wash it clean on a mystic mountain.
Then we go to Silicon Valley and cash in.
we go to Silicon Valley, and with those millions of dollars, we get a one-room apartment in the valley.
No, I'm saying we like make some app that like I don't know, like rings your doorbell when you fart, and it's like, yeah, hey, whatever, Facebook will buy it, hooray, and then you're good.
I mean, but
whatever,
like
cash out.
Yeah, but why? Like, why mess with the broken formula? You got to.
Whatever. You'll be able to like send emojis too. I don't know. Whatever. It'll be a social network. We'll just call it a social network.
I'm saying we could like make an app that promotes our way of life, and
that recruits more people to live out in the abandoned,
or just to like trick them and say like here we go, like
we got 50 states. We can do it again.
We have our philosophy, right? We have our whole thing.
Yeah.
And the app is a way of like, do you feel that your money has too much control over you?
Oh my god!
And it was like, just give $10 away and see how little affects you. Just give it away, and then like they send it, and it's like you're sending it to us, and we will destroy it, or we will take it to the Mystic Mountain to cleanse it. But just to break the control it has over you, just send $10. Wow, that didn't really affect your life all that much. Let's try $100, $1,000.
Free yourself of this evil.
Free yourself of the evil. Keep sending it up, and then eventually people were just like, "Wow, money has no control over me." And all I had to do was just give it away to nothing, or give it away to be destroyed. Yes, it was their idea. And then, once we're there, like all we need to do is start getting that kind of philosophy into. And this is not one of the actual jobs that I wanted to have. It is just being a Silicon Valley life coach, and just because if we're living in the valley, if we're living in the valley and we're already like kind of gaining notoriety for this like free yourself of this evil sort of mentality,
you're miserable,
and then sooner or later we're going to get into contact with some of the higher ups who are just like, wow, you have been freeing so many people of this evil, and I have so much evil. I have so much of it. How am I to free myself? And you would say, like, before the eyes of me, the mud god, before my eyes, you are the exact same as everyone else. You just have more to give away.
Yes.
And then it's like, so then like, how do you cleanse yourself of this? Because before my eyes, you're nothing more than them. You cleanse yourself by doing the exact same thing as them. And it's like, wow, give away everything I have. Because boom. And
all of those guys have so much self-hate because they know that all they did was like make a click game, and now they're billionaires. Mm-hmm. They don't deserve it, and they know it. They're full of just like self-loathing.
Find that dude that made Flappy Bird, and just have him. He is just like, I am so broken. Like
please free me of this.
I feel as if I am a glitch in the capitalism like matrix, and I have so much guilt, and I have so much evil, and then you're just like, you can be cleansed of this.
Zach, this episode's never going out because we're because we're quitting the podcast to do that. That's a very good idea. Literally, like, I mean, with the point when and we have. I think that's a very good idea.
We just have to like the thing that we have to do though is like, we can't just be like us. I mean, obviously we have to reinvest this money. Yeah, we have to reinvest this money we're getting into being this kind of like mystic figure.
Yeah, made of darkness and storm. Got it.
Yeah. Very Mysterio. We have to spend a lot of money, and like just in case, because there's gonna be like naysayers, and there's gonna be people that are like, you're just stealing money, and then you're like, how dare you say that? And then using our millions of dollars of projectors and whatever, we like kind of create like a little show.
Well, and they'll be like hangers on like dirtgod.io, and it's like, you don't even get. You didn't even, but we'll get them because here's what we'll do is we'll add number one in-app purchases, which are just other buttons. Like if you pay $10, you unlock the $11 button, and so then you
Yeah.
can click 11, and you have to click less to purge yourself of the evil. And
Mhm.
2, we'll add analytics and like track like
Ooh,
cookies,
now
so that we can. I said the wrong word, but analytics is also a good idea. Add trackers so that we can follow them on the web and find the most vulnerable people who have the most evil. Like
yeah, and then like so, and also like it kind of does like machine learning with like, and I like what you said. It unlocks buttons. So like, I don't know if you ever played one of those games where it's like you are like there's this one game I had. It was like you were a political figure and whatever, but like you could like press a button and then like every time you pressed it, it was like it would give like it would raise like $1,000 or whatever for like someone, and like so you're just doing that,
but make it real, but make it like yes, you really give
so
me
it's like that, and then so that way it's like, you know, it's like you press a button, you have a fun little animation where like money is like falling out of like you pressing the $10, and you can just press it like so many times, like press, and it's like goes and goes and goes and goes, and then like, you know, as you said, like then it unlocks like, you know, like 50 or 100 ever, and you can just like press that one just as much, press, and you know, they're just like, wow, like I'm being cleansed, like I feel this actually leaving me.
Yes.
Because that way we're not saying, because we're
telling them exactly what's happening.
We're telling them exactly what's happening, and as far as they know, you know, we're not benefiting from it. Like, because it's like you're giving, you're giving this away. Like exactly. What do I need? I'm a mud god made of darkness and storm. What am I to do with your paper money? Like, what value does that have to me? And then, you know, they're just like, you know, cleansing themselves, and, you know, they're not expecting any return. It's like, if you like, exactly. Like if you found out, like you donated to it, like this happens quite often. You donate to a cause.
Sure.
And then you find out it's like, oh man, like there's so much bureaucracy in it that like almost none of the money I gave actually went to help these people.
Sure.
But with us, it's like there is a 100% guarantee that like 100% of the money you donate is gone.
Is not yours anymore. 100% of the money
is not yours anymore.
100% of the money you give me, you don't have anymore. And I promise, no matter how much you ask, I promise I'll never give it back.
Yeah, I promise that you also don't have it.
Guarantee you will never get it back, and that is a Mud God guarantee.
Yeah, and then we can just really start a movement.
I see, and then we, you know, instead of like helping the country, like, you know, build a network of trains that could make everyone's life easier and cheaper and keep our planet from bursting into flames, we could, like, you know, do something cool and like awesome, like make a bunch of flamethrowers with our company's name on it and shoot our car into space like a totally normal person. Like that would be so good. So good. I think that's good. Good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is excellent.
All right, Mud God 2020.
Mud God 2020.
All right.
See you bye forever.